Part 4. Memories of his youth, long ago. When his fur was still thin and his eyes far too big for his face, he wasn't the emperor. He was just a cat, small, stray, forgotten dot back then. The world was loud, too bright. Every sound was a threat, every shadow an enemy. The wind felt like a slap, the rain a curse. No hands reached to stroke him, no voice called his name. Only the language of the street's gritty noises. Sharp scents spoke to him in a dialect of survival, where no one waited and no one hoped. His memory still holds the first winter, the hunger, snow falling on his back and not melting because the body had no warmth left to offer, paws cracked from ice, eyelids stuck together with tears mingled with cold dot, and then a human, not one who fed him, one who passed by and did not notice. That hurt more than the empty belly dot, but eventually someone did notice. Someone bent down, reached out. A warm hand, soft and slow, a voice unfamiliar but not frightening. He flinched, swiped with his paw, but the hands didn't retreat. They waited, and at last he allowed himself to be picked up, not because he trusted, but because he was too tired to keep fighting. The first home didn't feel like a home at once. First, a corner, then a blanket, then a bowl, then a gaze. One that did not wish to own, only to be near. His transformation was slow, like spring trying to melt frost, unsure if it can. He became gentle, not from affection, but from silence, because no one demanded. They simply stayed, and he remembers Tara, striped, wild, limping, the ruler of the rooftop behind the old laundry. The emperor, still young, still uncertain, brought him food without words. Just because he knew what hunger was, they sat together, not looking at each other. And the silence between them was a language. Not everyone needs a home, Tara murmured once, but everyone needs dignity. He didn't understand then, but he remembered. Tara vanished. Perhaps into the woods, perhaps into the snow. But his lesson remained. The emperor would not be who he is without that quiet teacher who lived only in twilight. Now, when he meets newcomers, hissing, frightened, he sees himself. And so he does not judge, does not force, because he knows every emperor was once small and defenseless. And every hurt needs time to grow into its strength. Part 5. The apprenticeship happened in autumn. The day was full of golden light and slow falling leaves. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth, and the trees were shedding their foliage as if quietly nursing for winter's sleep. That's when he saw him, small, thin like a shadow. A cat with a torn ear, a bald patch on one side, and eyes filled with both fire and fear. The kitten didn't simply arrive, he burst in, hissing at everyone, darting around, never stopping. Every movement screamed, "Don't touch me." The emperor didn't approach, he simply sat, as always, in the shade of the lilac bush that still held on to its last few blossoms. He sat and watched, didn't interfere, didn't command. He simply was Dot at first. The little one didn't notice him. Then he growled. Then he went quiet. Finally, he sat down too, and looked back. There was distance between them, a space of silent recognition. That was the first lesson Dot in the days that followed. They sat in silence. When the emperor walked to greet the sunrise, the kitten followed, always a few steps behind. When the emperor rested on the windowsill, the kitten hid behind the curtain, just one ear peeking out. But with each day, something unseen began to shift. One evening, when the sky was stained purple and the wind carried the scent of cinnamon from nearby kitchens, the little one stepped closer than ever before and said, "Aren't you afraid?" "Of anyone?" The emperor didn't answer right away. He tilted his head. True courage. he thought, as if the wind might carry his words, is not the absence of fear, but the choice to stand beside it and not look away. The little one said nothing, but his ears stopped trembling. He learned to wait, to sit still, to look in the direction where nothing yet appeared, but something was bound to come. He watched how the emperor never rushed to reply when someone meowed with anger, how he passed by petty quarrels without being pulled into them, how he ignored provocations because he understood you don't need to prove who you are if you already are. One morning, when the wind had swept away all the leaves and brought the chill of winter, the little one lay beside him, pressing his back into the emperor's fur. No words, no permission. But the emperor didn't move away. That was the second lesson. He gave him a name, Bruno, not because it was necessary, but because someone in this world needed to call him with kindness. In time, Bruno stopped hissing. He learned to listen. He learned to be silent, not from fear, but from respect. And most of all, he learned to sleep peacefully. That, perhaps, was the hardest lesson. But now, when he sleeps, his paws no longer twitch, and his ears no longer flinch at every rustle. That was a victory. One day, the emperor said, asterisk, one day you will guard another home, and perhaps someone will fear you. But remember, greatness is not in frightening others. It is in making them feel safe. And Bruno remembered.